r/AskReddit. Students teachers of Reddit. What's the best forgot to turn off the mic story during virtual learning? Well, it happened in one of the classes. The teacher was going through a rough time and the class could feel it. We assured her that we had done our homework and that she could take rest for the time being. She agreed and told she would switch her mic off and sleep for a while. As we did whatever, her husband was right beside her and the mic wasn't turned off. She told, "I am so lucky to have these students," and started sobbing to her husband. We all heard this, but kept quiet to prevent her being embarrassed. She slept well during that time and we sent her a thank you gift collectively. I teach for an online university that requires me to conduct a weekly live session. One morning I was lecturing and a student popped in late. I said, "Hello, student name. Thanks for joining us," he said. "Don't say my name. Beach." Just before she realized her mic was on and turned it off, I just laughed. Ironically, my IT teacher forgot to turn off his mic and camera and proceeded to get in a very heated argument on the phone with his ex-girlfriend who he has a kid with. Did I mention that she's also a teacher at our school? Yeah, most awkward 5 minutes of my life before he realized. I was producing a video for some university professors on a specific medical thing for a virtual learning course. I was all set up to shoot the process, and the teachers excused themselves to the next office to regroup and have a chat. I already had their wireless lav mics attached and fed to my camera, so when I sat down at the camera and put on my headphones I immediately heard their conversation. They were criticizing me, saying they couldn't believe they hired someone so young, inexperienced in that particular medical field, how I looked, how I asked questions, etc. Oops, at least I made them a fine video. These days I don't put my headphones on until we're about to shoot. In a math class I was in last year, we were taking a test, which you have to turn your mic on for, their way of trying to prevent cheating. Some girl apparently forgot that hers was on and started belting out "Stand By You" by Rachel Platten at the top of her lungs. It went on for the entire song and she was still humming it when I finished the test and left the call. My sweet old Russian professor had us do the same thing for our final. At one point text-to-speech for Google Translate goes off saying 2011, which was one of the years we had to translate into Russian. The girl got away with saying "Oh sorry, Siri went off" for some reason. Dude, my one teacher forgot to turn off his camera and his son was changing in the background and the son kept on looking at the camera. When I was doing an online algebra camp, the teacher forgot to turn off his mic while we were supposed to be doing some problems. He said, "I ducking hate math." As a math major I can confirm that the better you are at math the more you hate it. Girl forgot to turn off her mic and started screaming at her parents in Chinese. I wish I understood what she said. After a few minutes, she gasped loudly when she finds out she didn't mute it. Good thing not many people understood. In a thermodynamics class, one of the students said, "Holy shit, this is so much," after covering a large set of equations related to fugacity. Everyone found it relatable. In one of my classes, this girl wrote in the Zoom chat, "This is so ducking boring," not realizing that the professor could see it. How stupid do you have to be to do that? I mean, it literally says, "To everyone." Not a mic, but an elementary student left their camera for a moment and the mother walked by naked. Guessing she asked him to leave the room so she could change or something, not realizing the camera was left on. Edit. I just got back on Reddit and saw the reaction. Wow, far and away my highest upvoted comment. Would not have guessed that this one would blow up. Reddit is too thirsty. So I have one. I just did 8-hour Zoom calls for 7 weeks training for a new project. On the second week, a man unmutes his call. Farts, the longest fart I've ever heard in my life. Then when he finishes, mutes the call. I can see others laughing while muted at his fatal error of thinking he wasn't muted and so he went to mute his call. I found this to be the highlight of the week. But the following week the guy does it again. Honestly, the second time I laughed but then started to wonder if it was some kind of power move. Not virtual, but I was a guest speaker at a music college last year. My mic was still on when I finished. Went backstage and said, "Well, that was ducking horrible." I wasn't called back to speak again. Edit. For those curious of the aftermath, I heard it out of the speakers and an immediate uproar of laughter ensued. I would have laughed had I been a student, but as a working professional it was one of the single most awkward experiences of my life. I had a student give a smart-ass response to a question I asked, and before I could respond his mom starts chewing into him and hitting him with a chancla. His mic and video was on for the whole thing. Edit. For all those asking, I did not report the single mother who took time off from her only remaining job during a pandemic so she could make sure her sons were able to access their education. Didn't strike me as abusive. I did call her after school to talk and let her know I would keep her updated on how her son was doing in my class so that, hopefully, between the two of us, we could keep him out of trouble. Some of y'all clearly didn't grow up around Hispanic families. La chancla is part of the culture. Edit 2. Clearly hit a nerve with the last one. Abuse is not okay. I have reported and will continue to report abuse. What I witnessed was clearly not abuse. Context is important. I had a student's boyfriend, both college, walk up behind her on Zoom, reach into her shirt, pull out her breasts, and start doing a little boob dance. She was just laughing and playfully slapping his hands away. This was probably 30 seconds after I had just gone through my whole speech of making sure there was nothing in your browser history, Google search history, or names of folders that could be embarrassing or offensive. A student's mother had the habit of standing just off camera and very closely observing her kid. I know this because one time the student forgot to disable the mic. Everyone heard how the mother was coaching the student how to act. Don't look my way. Smile. Pay attention. It was next level helicoptering. Right on the edge of abuse in my opinion. Our school has a good counselor and the student is getting help. All the teachers have been advised to limit contact with the mother and not make waves, lest she withdraw the student or redouble her controlling behavior. I worry about it. A girl's mom, who the duck you on the computer for this early in the morning, and asking the same thing over and over. Teacher, I think your mic is on. This is the one thing I did not sign up for as a teacher. I'd be doing office hours or one-on-one conference with students and their parents would be screaming at them to stop playing games and ducking around and come down to do X, Y or Z. One father shoulder rushed into the student's room to scream about a dirty mug that was in the sink, then started screaming questions about who they were talking to and was this a sex thing. Your kid is 20 and taking college classes and trapped at home because the dorm's shut. I'm a student, and my teacher was talking to his wife at first. Pretty normal, right? Well, she leaves and he gets on the phone and says, "Yeah honey, my wife just left. Wanna come over?" The entire class went batshit bro. Heard the clapping sound of a kid jerking off. His name lit up and everything. English Zoom call. Teacher was holding us like 15 plus minutes after the period had ended. She said something along the lines of keep working arduously and I responded with if she says arduously one more time I'm going to flip a table. I was not on mute. Did you arduously flip a table? So we were making our classes as phone call on an app called TeamSpeak I think. Anyways, I was using my phone to talk and my computer to work and sometimes check Discord. At a point, we were supposed to do some exercise on our own and I left my mic on. My friend sent me a message talking about the fact that he got a girlfriend. So I sent him, "You did it, you crazy son of a bitch." Then I wanted to add some emoji. So I tried to edit the message and I hit the text to speech button instead. The computer literally yelled, "You crazy son of a bitch." I had to defend my thesis over Zoom and many professors came into the call to watch. My thesis was about immune response in fish to parasites. One professor joined late and forgot to mute her mic and we got treated to this little gem. SHHHH. Mommy is learning about fish parasites. Which is what you'll get if you don't stop peeing in the koi pond. I'm a tutor, and my student forgot to mute themselves before leaving for a 5-minute break. She had a beautiful conversation with her brother about how much of a dunt I was, and how much I sucked and how poor I look my house look. Luckily, I always record my tutoring sessions, so I finish as if nothing happened, and sent the clip straight to my supervisor. She got booted off of the tutoring program, as I'm the only tutor advanced enough for her grade that is able to take her. Edit. Spelling. Someone in our science class didn't realize he was unmuted and called a widely disliked kid the hard RN word. Somehow he didn't even get in trouble. This was a conference call for work, but it was a big call with like 12 people and I'm newish, so I was really just listening as the senior analysts were discussing something. Call was going on for a while, so I took my laptop into the bathroom with me to take a shit, flushed the toilet, and everyone just stopped talking. Turns out I didn't mute my mic and everyone just heard a toilet flushing in the middle of a meeting. Luckily no one cared and they all laughed about it, but I was mortified. While giving a lecture on the heated arguments among different schools of psychology, our prof screamed fire fire. There is fire, and most of the confused students, included the teacher's pets, replied I agree. Those were some lit points. Things turned out funnier and scarier when the prof went on with the screaming and we could hear her calling her house help and brother, alarming them of a fire sparking up her switchboard. So yeah, a confused, concerned class of 50 sat through the entire episode of turning out the fire while our prof revealed every dynamic of their family through her freaked out screams. And 30 minutes later she comes back to her lappy to unmute herself only to find 100 "Are you okay?" texts in the chat box. Edit. Thanks for making this newbie Redditor's day with that award. I know it isn't close to answering the question, but I have to share. We recently had a meeting with our whole team where the host forgot to turn off screen sharing. So we all saw him respond positively to a job offer. Funniest thing I've ever seen. Or it would be, if the offer hadn't included the salary, letting us all know that this grossly incompetent worker was getting paid way more than the rest of us. Still, we were just glad to see him go. Not really anything super weird. Was in a meeting with my class for the first day of school, and I had forgotten to mute myself. I then proceeded to start noisily baby talking my cat, who was in my lap at the time. Embarrassing. I wasn't the one on class, but my brother. He was in class while I made lunch, but it was my first time making rice on my own, so I asked him if he could go and see if it's done. He didn't hear me, so I screamed at him the same question. He then turned to face me and screamed, "What? It's not done. Wait a minute." And when he looked back at his class, his teacher was telling him to turn down the mic. He almost got an eardrum popped. Sorry if I can't explain it better. English is not my first language. Some guy's mother started yelling at him, "Turn down the freaking sound. I am so sick of listening to your classes the whole day. Go to the balcony and continue from there, or just bloody drop out of uni," along with a set of few swear words. Our professor muted him, so I don't really know what happened next. GR3 kid stopped in the middle of the class meeting and took his laptop to the bathroom with him. He sat on the toilet for the rest of the meeting. It actually happened on Friday. I have to take a training at my new workplace and it's online via Zoom. I had a horrible diarrhea that day and I could barely sit in one place, therefore I turned off the camera and the mic so the instructor didn't see my suffering, and turned the mic on when I had to answer a question or something. Accidentally once I forgot to turn it back off, and when another diarrhea rush came I started to say something like, "Come on beach, hurry up, let's go to a break or I will die." I don't know if she heard it, but I think so, because a couple of minutes after we took a break, kid's brother got yelled at for watching porn. We heard the video start because it was hooked up to a Bluetooth speaker. Great times. No one is going to have a story nearly as good as Greg Davies. Not virtual, but a few years back my roommate was in a chemistry lecture and the professor excused himself and left the room, but left the wireless mic on. He proceeded to fart and came back into the lecture hall to see all his students dying of laughter. During our faculty meeting about coming back in safely, our principal said if we're out sick they'll get a sub. One of the teachers said, "Ain't gonna be no ducking subs." Principal, did someone say something? One of my friends was on a Zoom tutor video class when people broke into the tutor's home. Luckily the student knew where they lived and could call the cops for them. Not an accidental unmute, but I thought it's worth telling. Not a teacher-student deal, but my mother was in a work call. She does tech stuff with a hospital. Lots of people in it. My cat was up on her desk trying to get attention and meowed this deep loud meow right into her mic. The call proceeded with every time my cat meowed her co-workers would be like, "Good point," or "Haven't thought of that," or like, "Yeah, that sounds right." My mother was so embarrassed, but she couldn't get her to leave her alone. Whoa, you made it to the end? You're a ducking beast. I'll cut you a deal. Smash like and subscribe for more curated content, bruh. It's free and that's a great price.